Dear students, this video is a continuation of the previous videos on the Romantic Age. In the previous video, we have seen the influence of French Revolution in England and social reforms introduced in England as a result of French Revolution, the termination of the African slave trade, and the freedom of the press, and the abolition of restrictions against the Catholics in Parliament were some of the reforms introduced as a result of the French Revolution. And in 1833, England proclaimed the emancipation of slaves in all her colonies. ബ്രിട്ടീഷുകാർക്ക് എവിടെയൊക്കെ കോളനികളുണ്ടോ അവിടെയുള്ള അടിമ കച്ചവടം നിരോധിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് 1833 നിയമം പാസാക്കി. The Romantic Age saw the beginning of modern British imperialism. So it was with the Romantic Age the country Britain has become an imperialistic nation. Imperialism in Malayalam you use Sambrajitvam. So England has grown into an imperialistic country. England sent some of her men or many number of navy men to explore and govern several parts of the world. We know India was a colony of Britain for almost 200 years. So during the Romantic period or just before the Romantic period, Britain sent a number of men to explore and govern some parts of the world. So it was the attempt of the country to establish a colonial empire. The colony വ്യവസ്ഥ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കോളനി രാജ്യങ്ങൾ സ്ഥാപിച്ചെടുക്കാനായി ബ്രിട്ടനിൽ നിന്നും ഒരു കൂട്ടം യാത്രക്കാർ, so mostly seafarers, okay, they went to different parts of the world to establish the territory over there. And Britain came into conflict with other imperialistic power. There were a few other number of imperialistic countries, and Britain came into conflict with the countries like France, Russia, China, Turkish, Ottoman. These were the countries, and these were the countries who were known as imperialistic nation during the time, and Britain had to go for certain conflicts against these countries. This age also saw the settlement of English and Scottish colonies in Upper Canada and Nova Scotia. Large number of people, both men and women from Britain, established themselves in Canada. A similar process of settlement occurred in Australia too. During the Napoleonic Wars, 1803 to 1815, Britain was well ahead of the rest of Europe in colonization and trade. Then the age was settlement of the English and Scottish colonies in Upper Canada and Nova Scotia, large number of people. So it was during the time people in England, they started settling down in different parts of the world. For example, in Canada, Nova and Scotia, there we can see a large number of people settling down. And some of the British people, they settled down in Australia. And during the Napoleonic Wars took place between 1803 to 1815, Britain was well ahead of the rest of the Europe in colonization and trade. കോളനി വൽക്കരണത്തിലും അതുപോലെ കച്ചവടത്തിലും മറ്റുള്ള രാജ്യങ്ങളെക്കാൾ ഒരു പടി മുന്നിലായിരുന്നു ഈ സമയത്ത് ബ്രിട്ടൻ. Many of the writers in Romantic period, they had direct or indirect involvement in the process of imperialism. റൊമാൻറ്റിക് റൈറ്റേഴ്സ് നമ്മൾ അവരെ പറ്റി പഠിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ മിക്കവാറും കുറേ റൊമാൻറ്റിക് റൈറ്റേഴ്സ് അവർക്ക് പലതരത്തിൽ ഇമ്പീരിയലിസമായിട്ടൊരു ബന്ധമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സാമുവൽ ടൈലർ കോളറിഡ്ജ് acted as a civil servant for the governor of Malta, while Charles Lamb worked for the British East India Company. റൊമാൻറ്റിക് പീരീഡിലെ ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട എഴുത്തുകാരനായ സാമുവൽ ടൈലർ കോളറിഡ്ജ് was a civil servant for the government of Malta, and like that another romantic writer, Charles Lamb, was a member or an employee in the British East India Company. And like that we see William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Thomas D. Quincy and Jane Austen. They had some kind of engagement in colonial trade. Another poet, Robert Southey and Lord Byron, they had a very much interest in the Orientalism, and they wrote Oriental poems. So in their poems, the central subject of it was the East as a unique place, such like we can find in their poems. And also during the same period, many Oriental works, they were translated into English. For example, Arabian Nights was one of the fascinating book got translated to English. And many of the Western writers, particularly writers in Britain and also readers in Britain, they were interested in Oriental subjects. We can see William Blake, a great poet just before Romantic period, views about the transatlantic slave trade in his poem The Little Black Boy. ഇന്നത്തെ സാമൂഹ്യ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളിലേക്ക് അവർ വളരെ താല്പര്യരായി നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയും.